What if a simple app on your phone could actually bring order to chaos? Well, today we're going to dive into a fascinating case study that proposes to do just that. We're breaking down the D.I.C.A app, a really brilliant concept for solving a problem I think we've all felt at some point. But before we get into the elegance of the solution, you really have to grasp the sheer scale of the problem it's built to take on. And trust me, it's a massive one. I want you to just picture this for a second. You get into a minor fender bender. Everyone's okay, thank goodness. But now what? You know that feeling, right? That jolt of adrenaline, the total confusion, the frustration. You know you're supposed to do something, but what's the exact procedure? Who do you call? What info do you need? For most of us, it's a moment of pure, unfiltered chaos. Okay, now take that feeling of confusion and multiply it by this number, 80,000. That's roughly how many calls Sao Paulo's emergency lines get every single day. And here's the real kicker. A huge number of those calls are for things just like our minor car accident, or maybe a lost wallet, or a stolen credit card. Now, these are definitely stressful situations, for sure, but they aren't life or death emergencies. And yet they're completely overwhelming a system that's designed for exactly that, clogging up the works and maybe, just maybe, delaying help for someone who's in truly critical danger. So how in the world do you solve a logistical and social problem that big? Well, you start with a simple idea. Or, a little tip, you might say. The solution is called D.I.C.A, and honestly, the name itself is just brilliant. In Portuguese, it's an acronym that stands for Assistant Guide for Complications, Crises, and Adversities. But the word D.I.C.A itself, it just means tip. It is the absolute perfect name for an app designed to give you a helpful tip right when you need it the most. So the mission here is crystal clear. First, guide people through these common but super confusing situations with a simple step-by-step process. Second, make that process look and feel like a simple to-do list, something anyone can follow, no problem. And the ultimate goal? Get those emergency lines freed up for the really, really severe cases. But a great idea is one thing. You've got to know who you're building it for, right? This app wasn't just designed in a vacuum. It was built with real, relatable people in mind. So let's meet our user personas, John and Sandy. So on one side, you've got John. He's an accountant, he's always busy, and he gets totally overwhelmed by all the paperwork and moving parts of unexpected problems. Then, on the other side, there's Sandy. She's a nurse, maybe a little distracted sometimes, and she's had to deal with that panic of finding out someone's been using her credit card. They're different, but they both want the exact same thing, a simple, immediate way to know what to do next. And this quote, this is straight from the research. It just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This is the core emotion the designers needed to solve for. The app isn't just about giving you information. It's about calming this specific feeling of panic and helplessness when you feel like the clock is ticking. All right, so we know the problem, we've met the people. Let's see how the app actually translates all that understanding into a really elegant step-by-step solution. Okay, this right here, this is the magic. It might look a little complicated at first, but this is the user flow for a minor traffic accident. What it's really doing is taking a chaotic, messy, emotional event and breaking it down into a logical, step-by-step path from start to finish. And here's the best part. The app takes that whole complicated flowchart and boils it down to this, a simple, actionable checklist. No more guessing, no more panic. You just open the app, find your situation, and do what it says. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. It literally brings order to the chaos. And here is what the final interface looks like. Just notice how clean the design is, how clear the icons are. Everything is direct, to the point. At a glance, you can find your situation and get the exact checklist you need. This is a design built specifically for a moment of stress. But, it gets even better. This isn't just about a simple design. It's about a thoughtful one. It's about making it accessible and inclusive for absolutely everyone. Okay, check this out. This shows just how much thought went into this. The design team didn't just pick a color palette that looked nice. As you can see, they actually ran it through color blindness simulations to make sure the contrast and readability work for everyone. That's a level of care you don't always see. That is truly thoughtful design. And that inclusivity goes even further. It's not just the colors. The app supports both Brazilian Portuguese for locals and English, which, as you can imagine, is absolutely crucial for tourists who might find themselves in a tough situation. You combine that with a simple iconography, and you've got a design that's meant to be understood by as many people as possible, no matter their language or ability. So, after looking at this really, really smart design, what's the big takeaway here? What does this whole concept teach us? Well, it's important to know that D.I.C.A is, for now, a conceptual project, a really powerful case study. The creator has paused its development for now to focus on another app. But the power of this idea, well, that's not going anywhere. And that really leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? The D.I.C.A project proves that you can take a massive, system-wide problem and deconstruct it into a simple, human-centered solution. It really makes you wonder, what other overwhelming parts of our lives, big or small, are just waiting for the right checklist to make them manageable?